Hello everybody, this is Evan with Tabletop Gaming Guild. Today I'm going to bring you a review for Bolt Action by Warlord Games. So I'm going to take you here to the table and we're going to go over the rules and some of the supplements and give you my thoughts about the game itself. So be right back here with a look on the inside of the books here. So here we are, we're talking about Bolt Action by Warlord Games here, published with the help with Osprey Games. So as you can see here, this is actually the second edition here. This came out in about 2016. I have the original over here, which came out about, I think, 2012. But yeah, this book here and this game system actually is probably one of the ones that actually brought me really heavily into miniature gaming, heavy into the historical stuff, and this system does a fantastic job with it. So as you can see here, it's based around World War II, so it's a fairly thick book here, but it's actually not too bad. So one of the things that a lot of people see when they go into miniature games, they see that rule books are extremely long and fairly thick. Up to the credits here is 228 pages, but less than half of that is actual rules, and everything else is supplements for what you need to play, and you can pick and choose what you need from that. So as we go through the book here, you're going to see some fantastic pictures, a little forward. Now they're going to talk about a timeline of World War II here, so it's a lot of historical stuff, and you can see some great pictures about, you know, different things that Warlord and Osprey had put together, some regular artwork, and so on. You see they went into fairly good detail for that. So now we're going to talk about the basic supplies, what you need. One of the key things with this game, it uses a die, but it's not a regular die. It's a specific die. On all 6 sides, it shows all the actions that you can take with your units. So they're listed up here. 1's fire, 2 advance, 3 run, 4 ambush, 5 rally, 6 down. Those are the key actions you can take with your units in the game. So once you get a grasping of how those work, you've got probably about half the game already down. Use a die, so we give your orders to your units. You pick what you're going to use, which side of the die you're going to use, and then you place the die next to the unit to show it was activated. And some other things you need, and some more of the artwork here. So as it goes along, it's going to show you different things here, like how to measure, how to figure out units, you know, table boundaries, how you would actually build your units on bases and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about the turns here, the different orders, how movement would work. You see, everything's laid out really well. Lots of pictures, lots of illustrations, tables aplenty to kind of map out and kind of understand how things are going. Like here shooting, you can see there's a little diagram, how we figure out line of sight, what works, what doesn't work, how you would measure it all out. So if there's ever a question, you can pick up the rule, find the section, and it's going to lay it out really, really well. As we continue on, figuring damage, covers. If you're someone that's played a couple of these style of games, most of the stuff is going to be really understood by you already, because it's pretty much the same through a lot of different games. You just have to learn the values of what one game would use for another, but the concepts are very similar. Here we talk about arcs of fire. And one thing, like I said, I really love like the artwork that they put in here, the miniatures that they show, the high quality paint jobs that they have. They look really, really nice. Again, more stuff on how various things work. That was for like close actions. You can get into artillery barrages, air strike charts, even down to what kind of plane will come when you roll those. So in this section here, they're actually talking about like vehicles. vehicles at the time. Some were wheeled, some were tracked, some actually had combinations. So this explains how different vehicles would move on like roads and stuff like that. And we'll talk about the vehicles and stuff like that. I'm actually going to talk more about vehicles with one of the supplements I have over here. But, you know, damage results on how you would attack, vehicle special rules. So, right here, we're on page 127. So like I said, less than halfway through the book. This is pretty much the end of the main rules. And you don't exactly start on page 1, because as I showed you at the beginning, you have history of World War II. So 27 to 127, you only have 100 pages of actual rules. And that, and you have all these pictures on top of it. So the rules are actually not too bad and not too in-depth. They read really well. So you can actually sit there over a night or two, go read them, and get a good idea of how the game goes. So in this next section, it's going to talk about different scenarios you can do, how you prepare and set it up. So if you want to play like scenario 4, double envelopment, this is how you would set it up. First turns, game duration, victory conditions. They have a few scenarios like that in here. Skipped ahead a couple pages, 9 and 10 right here. So as you can see, you got a lot of different choices on how you want to play your game. And the next section here is going to be force selection. So what force selection is, you choose different eras that you would play in, and your different nationalities, such as German, Americans, Russians. They're all listed in this book, and they're going to actually give you like the different vehicles. It's a point-driven system, so each unit has a point value assigned to it, and based off of a couple different factors. And you, when you get to your opponent, you come up with a point value you want to play at 500, 1,000. 1,000 seems to be standard for most games. And then a lot of the rules about each individual vehicle. So we get different nationalities and stuff like that. That's pretty much the end of the book there. And then it's a nice hardcover, but with that, so they sell with this various books, like these are the army books. So you do have the army lists that are in the rule book here, but these are the ones that you actually want to use. One downside that I didn't care for with them is, as you can see, they're not exactly the cheapest supplements to buy, but when you get into here, the very beginning, much like the rule book, is going to talk to you about like the American Army in World War II and different things that have the same quality of pictures, painted miniatures taken really well. And it's going to talk about generic lists for that, but it's going to go into very super specific army lists. So if you're someone that wants to do certain eras of the war, you can come here to North Africa, and this is what a unit here would consist of. So you would go through, oh, I can put one of these in there, one of these in there, and so on down, and get a very specific list. Also in there, I skipped over, but I've come back here, is these are all the various vehicles, the different units that existed at that time. It's well more in depth than was actually in here. And here you can kind of get by, but this is the books that will really get your armies built up. I just have a couple listed there. So another thing that you would go through too is if there's a certain era that you want to go through, they also have campaign books. So two that I have, so Ostfront, Barbarossa to Berlin, and Duel in the Sun, which is the African and Italian campaign. So what really covers into here is it's going to talk about, again, the history, a lot of the same pictures in the book, but it's going to have specific scenarios of things that happened in the war. So like here's Greece and Crete. So like historically this was actually the one and only German paratroop attack in the war, where the Fallschirmjäger actually landed troops. So there's going to be a scenario that's going to be listed into that if you wanted to recreate it. And it's all listed in here. And these books are really nice. If you want to do like historical, like really based on certain events. This is the books that you would want to get to supplement even further. So the last book I'm going to talk about here is Tank War. This is the last one that I have. If you're someone that just wants to focus on the tank combat of World War II, this would be the supplement that you would want. So this goes over how to basically remove infantry from the game, use pretty much just tanks or armored vehicles into it, and actually go into a little bit further of army lists with tanks, adding more specific tanks to that, how you would actually put a, like this is a Panzer Company here, how you would put those together, but then they have other ones here, like here's an armored platoon for the United States, and how you would design that all together. And it would go, you actually get commanders for your tanks and give them special abilities. You could actually get legendary crews. And that's one thing too, also in the army books, you have listings for legendary soldiers in the war that have super powerful abilities. But yeah, you go through this and I'll show you different things. Again, the really nice pictures of the vehicles, action shots. And this also has, great battles of World War II for tanks and actually specific scenarios that you can run. So again, it's a addition, much like the campaigns here that I have, that you can run specific historical things. So of the books, these are absolutely key. If you're going to get into bolt action, if you want to play skirmish level World War II, this is definitely a well worth book and system to play. It's heavily popular. People play it all over. It is a fantastic system, runs really well, and it's a lot of fun. Downside is if you do get this, you're going to have to figure out what nationality you want to play. You're going to have to get one of these guys. It's just, it has to go with it. These are kind of optional, really. It's more designed, like I said, if you want to get into a specific era, a specific operation in the war, and there's more here that I don't have, but these are just some that I grabbed. If you want to get into something specific, there's going to be rules. Like there's really cool rules here in the African campaign, like moving tanks across the desert will cause dust clouds and stuff like that. Really specific cool rules that, add more flavor to that historical period. And then the last one here, the tank war here, if you want to play tanks. Honestly, I think that bolt action works better as for infantry. It does not work for tanks very well, in my own opinion. There's a couple other systems if you want to do tank combat would work better than bolt action, but the option is here. Some people really like it. So overall, is it worth it? Would I buy a copy of it? Obviously, as you can see, I have. One nice thing too is this system is designed for 28mm. Warlord sells whole collection. There's a bunch of other manufacturers, Perry out there. Empress Miniatures has a line of World War II. World War II miniatures are very popular and easily available for you. I actually do not play this in the recommended 28mm. I play it in 15. The reason being, I can get a lot of 15mm miniatures for a heck of a lot cheaper than 28, and you don't have to change the rules at all. Everything stays the same, and it looks and feels really good. It's the main reason that I didn't have a mock-up for this, because it's not the actual scale that the book calls for, so I didn't want to kind of get into that, but it is a good system that runs. It's scale agnostic, like I just said. It captures the feel of World War II combat really well. And if it's something that you're really interested in doing, I'd recommend go and get yourself a copy of this book. There is 2 editions that are out here, so first edition, second edition, either one. There's some changes that go into second edition, but it's not a whole heck of a lot. If you learn first edition, you can pop into second edition later on. It's not going to be a whole heck of a lot different for you. You're not going to have to relearn a whole lot. The core is still the same, but I'm going to take you up from the tabletop here and give you some of my closing thoughts. So bolt action here by Warlord. Definitely recommend this one. Is it a perfect system? No. Will it get the job done for what you want it to? squad level based World War II? Absolutely. It is a system I don't play as much as I used to, but it is one that I will still get out a couple times a year and I'll play it, and I will be thrilled to death that I am playing it. It plays so well and plays so smooth. It's fantastic. If there's any thought that you want to get into this, I would say give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. So this is Evan from Tabletop Gaming Guild. If you like our content, please subscribe. Follow us on Discord, Instagram, Twitter, on our Facebook channel. Let us know things that you like what you're seeing. Anything else you want us to do, let us know in the comments section. Please definitely hit subscribe. Every subscriber definitely helps us out. Until later, have a good one, guys.